All right, so I want to bring up a really special guest. So I first met Sonia a couple years ago. One of my friends was starting a software company, and I think they raised like 1.2 million or something like that over the years, and they're doing really well. And then I got on the phone with I think like him and some of his other people, and I feel like I have a pretty good eye for like talent, and so I got on the phone, and then there was this girl, and she was like super like smart, and she just knew everything. She was really articulate, and she definitely like had all her strategies down, all her thoughts very clear, really good thoughts, really high IQ. I was like, who the hell is this person? So I asked Jacob, I'm like, who is that? And he's like, it's Sonia. And I'm like, who is Sonia? And so since then, we became friends, and I remember I met with Sonia one time, and she was like, this is probably like a couple months later or something, and she was like, I want to be the next Oprah or Brendan Burchard. I'm like, I never really had somebody like in the first call just come out and say it like that, like, I want to be the next Oprah. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, wow, like, you know, like, I don't know if you know, like, whether you like Oprah or not, she's like one of the most popular people in the whole world of all time. Like, she's up there with like Mother Teresa and everything. So I'm like, wow. And the thing is, like, we were on I think a Zoom or a Skype or something, and she wasn't smiling. She was dead serious. And I was like, oh, she's serious. And so anyway, Sonia's done a ton of cool stuff. She's literally made companies tens of millions of dollars. She's worked for some of the biggest brands you would ever know, including like Walt Disney, Tony Hawk. I'm probably going to forget a lot of them. Adobe, Cisco, AT&T. What was the other one? TrueCar. Yeah. Like some of the biggest companies out there, when they need help, they call on her. We're really lucky to be working with her. She's in our coaching program. She's crushing it. And I don't usually do this very often, but a lot of times when somebody comes in, I can just tell they're talented, and I'll go ahead and you'll notice like I kind of forecast or jump out on a limb sometimes, and there's a few students I've done that with. I've been right on all but one, and so she was one of the first people that I jumped out and I said, I announced it. Everyone watch Sonia Lee. She's going to become a rock star. And she's a few months in, and she's just crushed it. She's done a ton of revenue, and she's really created a massive audience. And so I'm just saying, like, having her here and having her be able to share, and she shared a lot of other places, but you guys are really, really lucky to have her here. And she's somebody that you're going to know. If you don't know her, you will know her. She's going to do really, really well. So with that, everyone put your hands together for Sonia. Come on up.
I've just been really blessed to have done so much in my life. I wanted to kind of quickly go over some of the other things that I've done. I started out my career as a web designer, and I worked my way up the ladder, became an art director and a creative director. In addition to that, I've worked with a lot of startups in addition to having started 2 tech companies of my own. I consulted for 10 years with all of the amazing companies that James had mentioned. But in addition to that, so what I'm going to be talking about today is how to build a brand that inspires trust and confidence in customers. So to kind of give you guys some background, I helped launch a tech community. When we first started, that community was 100 people. So we get 100 people to show up in a room. We managed to turn that brand into a community of 65,000 people. 65,000 people. How do we do that? So that's what I'm going to talk about. You guys interested?
Yeah.
Awesome. More energy. One more time. You guys interested?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So am I, because I'm totally fired up. All right. So a lot of this, if you have done marketing and you're familiar with it, the very first thing that you want to do is to work on your target audience. I think you guys all know what this is, right? But To design a brand that inspires trust, you have to first, this one is running out. You need to create a target audience. Now, what this means is you need to know who you're marketing your event to. If you don't know who you're marketing your event to, then it's kind of like the spray and pray strategy. You hope that people will show up, but they're not the right customer, they're not the right audience, they're asking all the wrong questions. Next thing you know, your event is derailed. So very important is to first identify your audience, okay? Once you've done that, we're gonna get into design. You're gonna create a creative brief. How many people here know what a creative brief is? One person. Awesome. So a creative brief is basically a summary that describes how your brand is going to look and what it's going to do and who it's meant to attract. All right? So this is kind of similar to a mission statement. You want to say, I am creating an event that does this, this, and this. It's targeted for this people. They make this much money. They are in this occupation. And you just list it all out. It's very similar to the target audience, but we're looking at it from a creative standpoint. So for me, I'm looking to create a mastermind that inspires affluence. Sound good? So I'm not going to use colors like pink or purple or orange. I'm going to use colors that speak to money, gold, green, black, various hues of gray. So all of that I'm going to put into a creative brief. I'm also going to put together a list of competitors or other people in the same space that have the same audience, and I'm going to look at their design materials and say, okay, they use this font, they use these colors, they use this language, and I'm just going to borrow, right? Creative liberties. Why start from scratch? Let's just borrow, okay? So once you've done that, now you know exactly who you're targeting to, and you have a fuzzy idea of what this creative is going to look like. The next step is really important, okay? We're going to create a brand identity. Now, a lot of people tend to go cheap on this. My recommendation is if you want to look like $1 million event, hire yourself a real designer. Does anybody here know what the difference is between a graphic artist, a production artist, a UX designer, a web designer? Do you guys know the difference? Kind of? Should I go into this? Yes, okay. So a graphic artist is somebody who can put together images and text and make a composite. They may not have the marketing or business savvy to understand the context in which it's designed. Simply said, they just know how to make stuff look pretty, right? With no goal or intention. A web designer is somebody who designs for a web. Now, you have people who code, you have people who just design, you have people who do a little bit of everything. I would encourage you to look at their portfolio and really find out what it is they do and what they specialize in. If you are going to hire a designer, I recommend that you hire somebody who has the word brand in their title or description, a brand designer. Somebody like this probably costs about $100 an hour or more. My rate, $300. But there are people that do this. The places to go find these kinds of people would be Behance, behance.com or .net, and also a couple other places. You may not find this person on Fiverr. Good luck on Upwork, right? But you want to look for somebody who does brand strategy and design. They ideally know Illustrator and Photoshop. Those are two things. Okay, so you're going to look at their portfolio and you're going to say, oh, this looks nice. I don't want you to look at it from your lens. I want you to look at it from the lens of your target customer, which is why we did that. Okay, so you look at their portfolio. Can they attract my $1 million customer? Yes or no? If the answer is no, go to the next one. Very simple. All right. Very important part with working with the designer. I beg all of you to put your ego aside. I've worked with so many people who say, no, I want pink because it's my brand. And I'm like, okay, you pay the bills, sure. Next thing you know, 10 months down the road, they can attract their customer. So put your ego aside and let your designer do your work. The fourth thing, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here. Has anybody heard of what a journey map is? Yes, journey map. Okay. A journey map, this is a bit more psychological. Now, before I get into a journey map, I'm going to talk about the psychology of why people interact, engage, and consume your content. You guys heard of Maslow's hierarchy of basic human needs? Okay, so quickly, there's self-actualization, esteem. Should I write this down? Okay. So this one was journey maps. And then over here, I'm going to write down Maslow. Self-realization, can't write. Esteem, love, belonging, safety, and psychology. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is because every person in this room and people who are watching have a basic human need for one of these things. Maybe it's all, maybe it's top 3, pick and choose. It changes over time. The reason why you want to be aware of this is because your target audience is looking for something. When it checks the box, you're like, ding, 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 okay? This goes back to your creative brief. The next one here, and I'll go into that, is copywriting. The copywriting needs to match this, which needs to match your creative brief, which needs to match your target audience. So that's why I reference this. Has anybody here heard of The Choice Theory by William Glasser? Also super important. I will write this here. Glasser. Choice Theory. It is relationships, power, freedom, and fun. Now, the difference between the choice theory and Maslow's is these are fundamental basic human needs. These from Glasser are psychological needs, right? So everybody here is for a reason because you're looking for a relationship. I have made so many connections here. I'm so proud of you guys. Can't wait to connect further. We're all looking for a little bit of power, right? Authority figures, freedom. I think we all follow these 4 things, and we also have a lot of fun. We do this because we have a lot of fun. So once you now understand the psychological needs, the basic human needs, you go back, boom, 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 done. All right, so the fun part. I had to preface that. A journey map is an exercise that Fortune 500 companies, $1 million startups do. It's not something that a lot of people know, but I'm going to share it with you guys. A journey map kind of, there's so many different sections. But to kind of break it up, I'm sorry I drew this wrong. We are going to, here, we're going to do feeling, thinking, doing, touch points, and opportunities. Everything that I'm talking here applies to user experience, which is a digital experience, or customer experience, something that's happening here in this room. So on the very top, what we're going to do, I kind of ran out of room, sorry guys, is it's going to go this way. Okay, so it's inspiration, research. They're going to buy, and then they have, and then they consume. Okay, and then they leave, and then post. So this is the progression of activities in the process of your customer thinking of buying, making that decision, putting down the credit card, coming to the class, leaving, and then what happens. Now what you do is you cross-section it with what are they feeling. And you go through every single one. What are they feeling when they're looking for inspiration? What are they thinking when they're doing the research? Or what are they thinking when they're buying? So on and so forth. And then you write down what are they doing during all of these phases. Are they sitting down at home, sipping coffee, having a really tall glass of wine, wondering what their life is going to be? Right? You want to break it down into every single step, and you will end up with a matrix of feeling, thinking, doing, touch points. How are they going to find you? Where are they going to find you? On your website, on your social media, at your local coffee shop, word of mouth? You want to know what those touch points are. Write them all down for every single step. And if you have more steps, put it in there as well, right? Owen's like, mind blown. Yeah. The last one is opportunities. You're going to go through this exercise. This exercise should not take more than half a day. Okay? You're going to go through this exercise and you're saying, oh, I've got a gap over here. Right? I got a gap over here. And then I got a gap here. And you're like, and so you write down, I think I should do this. I think I should go to another speaking engagement. I think I should go to another networking event so I can meet more people. Right? Now you've just identified your weak spots. Okay? So now this is like a triple whammy. Not only have you identified your own homework, you've identified the needs of your customer. And this is everything that Smiley has taught us, right? How do you go putting an event together? How are you going to sell them? What are they going to buy? You have to be so clear that you know exactly what you're doing. So there's that. Any questions on this before I go to the next part? Okay, cool. All righty. So step number 5 is copywriting. I thought I was a pretty good copywriter, but I'm not. And I'm not because I didn't want to buy my own stuff. So what I do, and what do I recommend everybody do? Find yourself a good copywriter. If you're looking for recommendations, I have one. A good copywriter is not invested in your product, and they're looking at it from a different perspective, right? So a couple basic things. I'm going to get into design a little bit. Is that okay? Okay. InDesign, not the app, by the way. In an ad, traditionally, what works best is you have a photo, and this photo needs to match what your customer is looking to feel, think, be doing in the future, or what they aspire to. This photo could be you. It could be you looking like $1 million. It could be you driving your Lamborghini. Whatever that is, put in an image there because you want to help your audience and your customer visualize that being them in a Lamborghini, right? In your expensive house. Whatever that is, put that in there. Now, I'm going to talk about copy for a little bit, and I'm not talking about copywriting. Did you guys know that headlines are usually written in bold, in all caps for a reason? Can anybody guess why?
It gets your attention.
It does. So it gets your attention because when it's capitalized, Your eyes is forced to read this. But look how many edges there are compared to this. Now my eye has to train and go like this. Whereas here, my eye just has to consume it in a rectangle. Bet you didn't know that. It's very interesting. So if you have a headline, put it in all caps. When you have copy, right, break it up into shorter sentences. People consume sentences when they're shorter. When it's too long or if it's a run-on sentence, it's harder for people to understand because you have to read it twice. They're looking for quick wins. How can I relate to this content? How is it relevant for me, right? If I have to read 10 pages in order to understand how this is relevant to me, you've lost the customer. So hiring a great copywriter can help you come up with the headlines, the copy. I prefer short and sweet stuff. All right. So Smiley talked about this, and we call this CTA. Does anybody know what a CTA is? Yes, call to action. You have to have a call to action. A lot of people forget this. I don't know why. But if you don't ask your audience to do something, how are they going to know to do that, right? So the reason why I'm calling this out, and this is super obvious, is because if you want to create a brand that inspires trust, you have to have complete transparency. What does that mean? It means you need to make it so easy for your user that they no longer have to guess what you're about and what you want them to do. If you make them jump through hoops to figure out what their action is to consume your thing, game over. I see a lot of people networking, even when we're talking, they forget the call to action. It's so simple. You say, hey, why don't you shoot me an email right now? Can I put it in your phone? Hey, this is my number, or hey, here's my business card. A lot of people forget this part, and they go to a networking event, they're like, oh, I don't know why I didn't get any contacts. It's because you forgot your call to action. So please remember that on your marketing materials, on your website, on your ClickFunnels, like JR, he put it like 5 times, you need to have a CTA. Transparency, Smiley talked about this. Remember how he had that OTO and there was the phone number on top? Now, not everybody's going to call it, but you just gave them, you just made them feel confident that there's somebody on the other end and it's not just some scammy website, right? So the more transparent you can be about what you're offering, what you're doing, who you are, how to contact you, how to solve any problems, the better, the more confidence your brand inspires. So the last thing is you want to open up conversations. Oh, I missed another thing. Okay, I'll go back to that. So conversations, what this basically means is you want to continue the conversation after they've hit your landing page, your website, anything. Hey, let's continue talking. You want to ask me any questions? Do this. So on my Facebook profile, people message me all the time. And I straight up say to them, I'm sorry, I don't do private questions. But if you ask me in my group, I will answer it publicly. Why do I do that? 1, so everybody can learn together. 2, we've opened up a conversation and I can refer them back to that landing page. And now I've just created a loop, right? The more people talk about it, the more trust and confidence it inspires. Owen's like, I got to pick up the pieces of my brain. Yeah? Okay. So JR kind of stepped out earlier when people were saying, can I borrow JR's funnel? And I said, don't worry, guys, I got a wireframe. Do you guys know why we do wireframes? No? Okay, so let's do a really rough wireframe. So let's imagine that this is a web browser. And this is my website. I'm new, and people want to learn X from me. How do I do that? So I need to have a logo. I need to have a photo that inspires trust. I need a call to action. If this is me, so I'm going to actually do this for me. I need to have a bio or about me. I need to put value propositions, value props. I need to put in some story, how to contact me. What else? Maybe a video. Anything else you think I'm missing? So what I've basically done is put down everything I need for the customer to make a quick decision, right? So I've just written it all down here. This is how I do my wireframes for all of my clients, high and low. So what happens here is now the fun part is I go, okay, I need a logo, so I'm going to put it here. And I need a photo. Okay, here's my photo. There's Sonia smiling. I need a call to action, so I'm going to do that, and there's a button right here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, done. So next thing, okay, and then I look at it and I go, what would go next? What would make more sense? So I think if I tell a story, then it might open up the conversation. People are like, oh, okay, now I get it. It's not just a person selling a book. I've got a story. And then I do the value proposition. If you buy this, you will get that. And then I need to support why I'm the best person. So I go, here's my biography, ... Sonia's done this, this, and this. By the way, you can go to my whatever, LinkedIn, my awards page, my about page, like whatever. I put it here. So I've done that. Oh, I need my contact in. Oh, I forgot the video. So I might actually put the video up in here and do that. Okay, so I've done that. And then now I need the contact, so I'm just going to do it right here. And then go. Done. Now the reason why we do wireframes is because this took me how many minutes? 3 minutes. And I can take a holistic view of everything that I need on my website, and if it's wrong, flip the page, 3-minute investment until I get it right. And once I've got it right, who do I go to? I go to my copywriter. I go, I need this, this, and this. And I need my call to action. I need my tagline. Can you fill it in? And then I go to my designer and I say, I want it like this. Can you do it? They're like, yep. Easy. So by doing all of these different things, you can easily inspire trust. It really is learning to speak the language of your customer by getting into their mind. The deeper you can get into their mind, the easier this becomes. So a lot of people, they're like, well, I don't know who my customer is. Do you know what I do? I heard somebody say it earlier. Somebody said Starbucks. You know what I do? Oh, yeah. I go to Starbucks. What do? I listen to people talking when they're waiting in line. I talk to the barista. I ask them how their day is. And they're like, it's good. I go, what's wrong? Oh, I've had a long day. I go, oh, why? I'm in school. I'm like, oh, so you're not having fun? Yeah, I just want to make more money. Boom. I've just learned something, right? And then I listen to the next person. In fact, on my way over here today, I stopped at a Starbucks and I saw 4 ladies, moms, in their yoga clothes talking about their husband's business strategy. Did you hear so-and-so did this? Oh, we could make so much more money. Boom, money. And then I listened a little bit more. I just wish whatever. And I'm like, thank you, right? How much time did that take me? 5 minutes while I was getting my coffee. So by going out, going networking, Starbucks is my favorite place. If you like Pete's Coffee is really great too. Just listen. You will always hear what people are looking for. Either it's here in Maslow's hierarchy or it's here in Glasser's choice theory. Figure it out and then figure out how it matches with your product. If they're in your target audience, your creative brief, go through the journey map again. Hopefully you write this clearly and keep referencing it. But all of this that you've created, once you've done this, you can hand it to your copywriter and say, here's all the homework I've done. I've saved you 3 hours of work. Do you think you can use this? Yes. Now you do the same thing with your photographer, your videographer, your graphic designer, your web designer. Everybody's now on the same page. So the very last thing that I wanted to put is consistency. I'm going to write that here. So number 9, consistency. The reason why we go through the exercises like we did in the beginning is because we want to make sure everything, everyone, and every marketing material, website, digital, printed, all says the same stuff. So I'm going to tell a story. I was invited to an event a week ago, and it was for SoGal, Southern California female entrepreneurs. And it was an email. They invited me. It's for investors, previous speakers, entrepreneurs. And I thought, yeah, great. I'd love to meet other people. Works for me. And then they said, we'll send you the official invite. The official invite looked like this. Cursive. And I'm like, oof, that's bad. But I thought, no, it's fine. I'm going to go. So I show up, and I get out of the elevator, and they go, Sonia. And I'm like, I don't know you. I brought 2 of my friends. They were anticipating 50 people. How many do you think showed up? 5. 5 people showed up. What did they do wrong? They didn't do their creative brief. They didn't know who their target audience was. They didn't have an event site. It was nowhere on the internet. It wasn't a Facebook event. It was nowhere. They didn't get their marketing done right. They didn't have anything. It didn't inspire trust. It didn't inspire confidence. People did not believe their word, also because they used a cursive font. And it was also in Santa Monica on a Friday. So I want to encourage you guys to go through all of this. If you just do the exercises, this will automatically inspire trust. And I can't stress enough to, go and listen, go network, go talk to people, go find a great copywriter, a designer, and you will kill it. Thank you so much. Was I supposed to do a Q&A? I don't know. Do you guys have questions or no?
That was great.
That was good?
Yeah,
Okay.
you covered it really well.
Awesome.
Hey.
Very cool. Thank you. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you.